You got to be happy where you're at right now. Like, it's good to grow. It's good to do all
True.
this stuff, but at the same time, being grateful for where you're at right now is the key to happiness. Self-doubt sometimes, and the highs and lows of things. And I've had a lot of success right now, so I haven't really had those challenges much lately. But still, it's like the anxiety of like, yeah, you might lose that client or you got to fire that client. I've kind of had to deal with that and like really just put it into a box and say, you know what, it doesn't matter like what the outcome will be. I'll be fine either way, the outcome. So then just like you're free to take the risk. You're free to like just take that leap forward. But yeah, I would say
anxiety.
Yeah.
Man. Today we have Matt Rubush out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, I actually first saw Matt when he commented and corrected actually one of JMAC's posts. Maybe we'll get into a little bit about that. If you don't know who JMAC is, he's Justin McAuliffe, really wild CPA. But speaking of CPAs, Matt just officially became a CPA, and just a quick upfront congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. Yeah, it feels great.
Of course. So thanks for coming on the show. And by the way, guys, I mean, that's the first time I saw him comment. And then I don't usually see CPA primetime guests in real life. Most of them I haven't seen in real life, but I actually got the chance to meet Matt at Xerocon. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But without further ado, Matt would love to educate the audience on who you are and get into a little bit of your origin story. You know, where did you start and how did you end up here?
Okay, yeah, thanks for having me on, Juan. So I'm a late bloomer, I guess. I was a very bookish person in school, but didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was actually, I lived in Italy for 4 years right after college. I was in the seminary, so a lot of people don't know that about me. So I speak Italian, Latin, German. So that was all that was right out of college. I was into a lot of different subjects. I did major in economics when I was in school. So I had some of that finance, accounting, but I didn't like it at the time. It was just kind of like more practical fallback. And then I just tried to follow my dreams, like all through my 20s, like doing the seminary and then teaching foreign languages. And then as I got to the end of my 20s, I was, I got engaged and had to kind of, make a living. It was a lot more responsibility at that point. And so I was working in customer service. I was doing a job there, kind of like I was still taking classes and I was doing that. And I did customer service, and then I was into like foreign language translation, but that didn't really pan out. But that kind of sparked some of the entrepreneurial side of things, like doing the translation, working from home. That really sparked some interest in working remote, and kind of that was like 5 years ago. So that I guess that kind of was planted a seed for where I'm at today. And then 4 years ago, I was sort of at rock bottom, like, what do I do in my life? And I ended up taking accounting classes. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So real quick on the translation side, I think that's insane that you know that many languages. Like, at least for me, it's insanely hard for me to learn other languages. I'm sure I could. Like, if I sat down and focused, I could. But how in handy does that? We're taking like a side turn here, but how in handy does that come in, like in just life, let alone business?
It's mostly for travel, that kind of thing. I love to travel.
Sure.
I was in Europe, and it's just understanding the language is really a key to the culture. In our area, a lot of Spanish speakers in North Carolina. And then like when I was in San Diego, people from Houston, from Mexico. So I could understand, like, not fluent Spanish, but I can understand Spanish. Yeah, because it's
Hmm.
very similar to Italian, and I just love like connecting with cultures and understanding like they view the world differently because of the way the language is laid out, the way that describes the world they're in. So
Definitely, definitely. I'm a big fan of traveling to Germany. I really like Germany, but the thing is, like, sure, in big cities I'll be fine, but in small villages, like, it does really help to know German. Like, small villages like Grossestein. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with like being actually in Germany, but that's a big place I want to do business in the future, but I'm staying where I know how to speak right now. And yeah, yeah. What do you think about, Europe as related to accounting services?
um, I haven't really had any experience with accounting. I haven't really thought about doing kind of accounting there. I mean, there's like in the back of my head, obviously, I'd love to go
Hmm.
back to Rome and live there, work for a firm, or work remotely. The way I'm set up right now is that I could work for my clients remotely. So uh,
Sure.
that's like
Let's
the
let's
dream.
transition into what do you have going on now, right?
Um, yeah, should we cover like my accounting story though, like how I got
Well,
into accounting, or
we'll just keep on that note, and we'll go back to that accounting story right when you studied. Yeah, we can go back to that, but back to what you were saying right now. If you
yeah. So currently I'm self-employed. Started up about 10 months ago, and I'm slowly getting clients. I do more small businesses primarily. I mean, same kind of stuff that a lot of people CPAs are doing.
right,
Helping with small businesses with their bookkeeping, their payroll, doing their taxes, and yeah, slowly working my way through that. And yeah, I work from home, so that's awesome. Can pretty much work from
right,
anywhere. That was the dream. That's kind of how I got into like before I was working more the traditional firm route, and that
sure,
was being chained to a desk in an
hmm,
office, and not much else.
right, right. Yeah. What's really funny about that? This is like a living room, right? I'm sitting in a living room. Are you sitting in a living room?
Yeah, like in our
Yeah,
dining
I'm
room, basically.
sitting
Yeah,
sitting in a living room and taking care of some pretty serious business for clients. That's kind of amazing. Like here in 2019,
yeah, yeah.
it's just funny.
Well,
But
I was just earlier today. I was at by the pool. I mean, I don't like to brag like on social media or whatever. I'm not gonna like
uh,
post pictures of that because clients, like what's this guy doing? But I was sitting by the pool like doing payroll stuff. So
right,
yeah,
right.
got a laptop, you can do it. So
Yeah, yeah. That's what's funny about it, right? Posting the picture by the pool while you have like very sensitive client information, or like they expect you to be super focused. That's an interesting conversation. But
yeah,
yeah. Um, so let's get back into your story, right? So you said you hit rock bottom, and then you decided to study accounting, huh?
yeah. So yeah, the reason I picked accounting was so I had that economics degree, that background. And I was into like finance and stock market and all that stuff. That was just reading a lot of books and checking the stock market every day and reading up on news. And so I was like, well, how do I get into finance? And I talked to my brother who has an MBA, and we kind of brainstormed, and we decided. He told me like, yeah, accounting is a great way to do that.
Mhm.
And that was something easy where I could just go to a community college and with very little risk, kind of just try it out.
I
And
agree.
so I enrolled for the classes, and I just took off from there. It's a great. Had a friend who I worked with at the firm I was last at.
Hmm.
He was following kind of similar path. Like he had a music background, and then he went
Oh,
back to school for accounting. And so he was kind of giving me advice on like the CPA exam and what you have to do. And so we were kind of comparing notes all the time, and both were studying. And so he was a big help to me and then I ended up working at his dad's firm, his dad's CPA as well. So that was good experience. And prior to that, I also interned during tax season. So while I was still taking classes, I did an internship at during tax season, just entering in tax returns, and that was a great firm as well. They were just a small firm that started up, and like this CPA, she teaches classes now at NC State University, and they have really high standards, and so I learned a lot from them as well. So a lot of great people helped me out along the way, and learning about the CPA and like the importance of it was really kept me motivated and going. And I did Roger's CPA review was my review course that
I love that guy, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, very motivating, and it was like I knew it was going to be worth it in the end. It took a longer than I wanted it to, but because I was working and studying at the same time.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just now officially earned the you're a CPA. You're a CPA. Yeah. So how does it feel?
It's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
I just think about it. It gives me a good feeling. Like,
Yeah.
And it's something like, I worked on a lot of different things, and I never really saw them through because I didn't want to I kind of changed my mind on things throughout life. And then I finally settled, doing this, and to finally see it through was a great accomplishment for me. And my dad was always like, you better finish this. And so
mm-hmm.
like, okay, Dad. Because he's like total opposite of me in that respect. But it's great to, you just.
What do you mean the total opposite of you, but he was telling you to get it done, but you wanted to get it done too. So that I got a little confused there. What do you mean?
No, just prior. Yeah, because I switched up my ideas and was very, in like my 20s, and he just kind of went to work, and that's what you did back in, the 70s. That's what you did. It wasn't like, like now we have the internet. We have so many more options, and I think that's the hard part is dealing with like when you have so many options. How do you pick the right one? Ultimately, I guess you just pick something, but.
Yeah. And I think picking something is funny because, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? I thought I was going to stay at PwC for 5 years, actually. I didn't just say I'm a entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Like I did have businesses in college, but I was ready to stay at PwC for 5 years. So what are some of the, the opportunities that you're noticing now? With what direction you want to take things, right?
Yeah. So so what happened with me was similar to you. Like I was at the firm, and that firm was a kind of an older, like an aging firm, and they lost some clients, and so that kind of changed like my role there. And so I wanted to stay there 5 years and just learn as much about tax and become, get that kind of training, and then, ultimately maybe own part of it or start my own, kind of go that route. But then when that happened, I had to kind of shift gears, and then I really got into this whole, through doing more networking, I got more excited about all the different possibilities of remote work and just being more technologically forward. And then the opportunities, I mean, it's, I've adopted this like abundance mindset more. I think if you approach everything with abundance, like the world is so full, the universe is so generous to us. So
yeah, definitely. I have, some pretty, I need to market these people, but I have some pretty accomplished team members, and like, those are the type of things they talk about. They're like, yes, Juan, if we can do this, like the world is our oyster, like abundance mindset, that type of thing. And you, okay. So I'm gonna let you go on with your story. Did we miss anything?
Um, Not really. I guess we
Okay.
covered the basics. Yeah.
Okay. So now, do you have? I'm interested with your setup, right? Because as a marketer, as I market firms, I'm also having to market them as, hey guys, like this is just, this is not just one guy in his house, right? He has his team, and here's what his team says about the work situation that he set up for the company, right? So do you have a team, or are you right now uh, uh, contracting out any work, that type of thing?
No, I'm doing all the work myself. I mean, I have like five monthly business clients, and
Mm-hmm.
then I do like 7 or 8 tax returns. So it's just the monthly stuff is kind of keeps helps fund everything, and then
Right.
spending a lot of time on just doing all the work myself and trying to be efficient and streamline it. Use QuickBooks Online exclusively, just so I have like uniform processes for dealing with different clients, and then spend the rest of my time networking and just trying to grow from there. But
Definitely.
then the team aspect, like I do, for accounting, I don't have a team, but I do have a team of financial planners and insurance people, and we're working together now on collaboration. So we set up an LLC for that for insurance, and so I do like disability and life insurance, and they do financial planning, and then part of their financial planning is having questions about taxes. And so
Of
then
course.
that'll open the conversation to bring me in to help with taxes. So,
Right. Right. That's from a marketing perspective, that's strategic positioning, right? What I'll say about a team too is that's what I did my first year. Like it was just me doing a lot of the work, got the bills paid with the clients, right? I didn't have a team that was taking a lot of maybe one contract like I have it set up now, but it was at first just me and my brother, two people. My sister helped sometimes, right? And then now in certain cases, in certain jobs, we can get up to 13 marketers working on one client. And that doesn't necessarily, it's funny that you say that because we were actually talking about this on another podcast with a Canadian firm where it's like, okay, with the possibilities now that many CPAs and accountants are realizing, they can quit firms pretty easily. And then even having the financial mindset and financial literacy that they have, it's pretty easy to be profitable if they can actually land clients. Is that kind of, would you agree?
yeah, definitely. I think right now it's when you're just a staff accountant or you're doing 90% of the work, it makes no sense to, you know, it makes sense to cut out the middleman, so to speak, and just directly market to clients. That's the hard part is like making that transition. People
Hmm.
don't, people can't give up the comfort sometimes to go out on their own, and I feel bad for them because they're never going to go out on their own. Really, they talk about it'd be nice to do this, but they can't give
Yeah.
up because they got the mortgage, they got all the stuff to pay. I have a different mindset. I think in terms of like the next 10 years, like where I want to be, and I know it's going to work out. It just like right after I left my job, I got 2 big clients, and that really helped fuel everything going forward. And so it was all about mindset. It really was.
Hmm. Man, the thing about it too is, you know, some entrepreneurs stay with their first two big clients and then get in really dangerous situations when they have to fire one, or maybe, there's a little, just a riff in the relationship, right? And they're like, I can't deal with what this client is putting me through right now, or they're not paying me all of a sudden, that type of thing. So I've had to deal with some pretty scary situations with clients in their first year where, 60% of their business was one client. And so they're going to fire that client. That means they have to land more sales, or literally by next month, they're not going to be able to pay bills. So super interested in your opinion on just strategically growing, because I feel like more other business owners really need to realize that accountants do more than just taxes, right? Other people need to realize that. The whole world needs to realize that, right? CPAs, to me, they're really chess masters of playing the long game of mapping it out and executing to where, okay, we're going to win, versus, I don't know, some e-commerce kid over here in Silicon Valley where it's like they're spending a lot on credit and cash flow is a mess. Like they're not really mapping it out as much as they are being an entrepreneur. And, props to the people that can be an entrepreneur and sell, but there's something to be said for people that can map it out. So, very curious on your thoughts on strategic growth.
Yeah, I try to take the no debt approach. We've eliminated, like, my wife and I have eliminated all like personal debt. We
Nice.
and then I have no business debt, and so then I try to I'm very little overhead in what I do. So any expenses are just part of, like, they can be funded from the sales and the revenue. I love spending on the business, when it's in that situation where it's like the client, the revenue is paying for things. That's a good feeling. It's a sustainable thing, and I definitely try to keep a margin of safety. So it's a little more, I'm a little more conservative in that sense. But that's the biggest issue I see with clients is cash flow
Right.
issues. It's just hard when you have high overhead and then sales drop. That's a bad situation. But a lot of it then is in the personal side too, where you're just overextending yourself. In our societies, student loans are a big issue.
Oh man.
Um, so
That's like one of the biggest issues like people keep talking about, from, I don't know, from Gary V to like who doesn't really look at a lot of finances to the accountants, right? Everyone knows like that's such a tough situation. Do you have any opinions on that as far as seeing how the economy will be affected?
by all the debt, yeah, we can't keep going on like this forever. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee too. He was a big inspiration for me
Oh, cool.
as I was making this move, and yeah,
Nice.
we're definitely things are, yeah. It just, like he says, we got to pay the piper, and I think if people would stop, you know, be more realistic and um, be not live your life based on other people's opinions. I could go on all day about what things he says. I'm sure a lot of your listeners like him too, but it's, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you got to be happy where you're at right now. Like, it's good to grow, it's good to do all
True.
this stuff, but at the same time, being grateful for where you're at right now is the key to happiness.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I think for someone incredibly ambitious, people will say, like, if you're incredibly ambitious, especially in business, and you do want to make a lot of money, I've even had my own family and my own dad tell me, hey, it's not all about money, right? It's not going to make you happy. And it's like, wait, dad, like, you don't understand. I've been happy. I've been happy for a while here. Now it's just like, man, can we do this? Can we grow this thing, right? It's really like almost like a sport, if that makes sense. So w- I'm interested because you said you think 10 years out, right? What do you envision? What do you really want to build? That's a good question. What do you really want to build in the next 10 years?
Um, I don't know yet. I mean, like, I know that it's gonna be the growth will continue. I know that it'll be more established as a firm. And now what that firm looks like, I don't know how that's gonna play out, because I like the idea of just being on my own and not dealing with all this, I like the kind of simple life in a sense, like not deal with a lot of staff and that sort of thing. But who
Right,
knows? When I get to that point where there's the need, I might change.
right, right. That that's it's interesting to hear from, and I'm a new entrepreneur myself. It's interesting to hear from older entrepreneurs who are kind of like, they didn't expect what would be coming. But one of my offices that did 100 got their first $100,000 month, they told me like, Juan, I don't know if I want to grow this bigger than this. Like, this is a nice business, but it's not going to make me incredibly wealthy, right? So he told me what I'm trying to do is like take myself out of the business, set up my team, and like not to be like him, not to be arrogant, of course, right? But have a business run, by itself, and then of course, I'm managing it a little bit, but I don't want to be, in the trenches for a long time. Kind of back to the simple life, right? That just makes me think of, setting up, having to go through the pain. I guess the growing pains of even getting to where, my own clients got, right? Like for me, I have clients that make a lot of money. I'm sure like a lot of accountants and CPAs do too. And my business is not making $100,000 a month, right? So there's a lot of growing pains there. I guess to piggyback off that topic, what would you say would be your preferred way to grow? Like, would it be landing larger clients that really want to hear from you, or would you go in a more traditional route? Because that business that I mentioned, the $100,000 a month client, they actually built their office pretty traditionally. So I'm just curious because, with you mentioning the pool, like we can set up some pretty interesting business models now. So, what are your preferences there? Super interested.
Yeah, I guess I'm going more the traditional route because that's what I'm familiar with, and so just helping out, smaller clients. It really doesn't matter the size of the client. Having big clients can take up more time, and you know, I don't know. It's just there's a lot more risk, so having it spread out in smaller clients is um, kind of nice. But then you got to shift gears all the time, and yeah, I guess for me it's about more about work life balance than making a ton of money. Like I don't care about making 400,000 or 500,000 a year, and like because a lot of those people, I feel like they're living that lifestyle too. It's what
Uh-huh.
you keep is what matters more than what you take. The top line. So.
Right, right. And do you, because these are things my mentor goes over with me, but do you actually know how much you need to make to, feel financially free and have the balance that you want? And my mentor hates that, like even a word, work-life balance. He hates balance. He's just like, what do you want? Let's make it like that, right? So, do you know that kind of number for you?
I mean, I'm
To,
good right now. It's like I'm
yeah.
not like I don't really need any of this money. It's like we're in a good position. We've gotten rid of all the debt, and we're in a really good position financially. I like uh yeah, obviously want to grow to where it's like kind of a full-time job, at
Mhm.
least, and have benefits, and grow like, something proper like that, that could support us. And yeah, so like 60, 70,000 a year would be fine. Not nothing huge,
That's
and
nice. Yeah.
um, and
Especially
otherwise,
as an entrepreneur.
yeah, it's about it's for me. It's not about the numbers. It's about the challenge and the making every day count, being with people you like being around, and that's
Hmm.
I'm really loving that, and having the freedom to to be by the pool or whatever. That's
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
more.
I mean, man, we're just so lucky. Like,
Yeah.
what if we were this, age like 30 years ago, man? There's You can set up your life pretty cool. And I mean, I'm definitely enjoying working from home right now. And I might have said this in other podcasts, but that will not necessarily be the case one day. I mean, I won't get into a specific thing that I'm going to do, but I will say I'm going to grow a pretty big team. And, a good part of my team is going to have to report to one building. So like one day that is like what I'm marching to, what I want to build. But are you always going to be working from home, or do you
Um,
have plans
well,
to?
yeah, I mean, right now, like, yeah, I don't work from home all the time. I do go to the shared office space
Mhm.
sometimes. Through the partnerships are working on, I have access to that. So, um,
Nice.
it's nice. I like that, like meeting all those great people there, and it gets me out of the house. And so I don't like work from home is good, but it's also just the flexibility of being anywhere is good, being mobile. Now, as far as like
Hmm.
going towards an office, I mean that would be nice because the downside of all this is just like there isn't set hours, and so sometimes it feels like work and life kind of bleed together. There's not a start and a stop time. So I think that would be for me. That's a challenge right now is um, getting into more of a routine of a 9 to 5, and um, just so it stops, and then but at the same time, I have to be there for people. I differentiate myself by being available. Um,
Hmm.
so that's the challenge right now.
Right. And do you have a preferred method to communicate with clients?
Yeah, usually email or text. I mean, that's the most common.
Oh, you text clients.
Yeah, or they text me. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not the best form of communication, I guess, from like a compliance standpoint, but it's
Well, not for incredibly confidential information, I guess, but I could see, well, I do know like that business just gets done super fast now, right? So do you see that like impacting, I guess, your well-being? I guess I don't know, some people just don't like to see the text messages, right, from clients. But what's your opinion on that, since you do text a few clients, I guess?
I don't mind it. I've gotten used to that aspect of it
Hmm.
because it can stress you out when you see something you don't
Hmm.
want to deal with it. Um, but it's I think
Yeah.
it's important to be accessible. It's important to do things quickly. And I don't like the idea of a gatekeeper. Having like
uh
traditional office where there's a gatekeeper, and then it just seems very inefficient, and it's very unfriendly to the clients. Um,
Definitely. That's super interesting. I actually had a client. Well, it's the same client from earlier, actually, that grew kind of that more traditional office. Although it was a traditional office, this guy was like an incredible salesperson. He was incredible at managing teams, right, to be successful. And even he would charge $200 to have clients text him, to give clients access to his phone to text him. And I actually, I'm going to market that product more as well. I have that product, but that's another business model that clients could gain a lot of value from, right? Is there a price on that for you, or is it just kind of like, okay, we started texting, I guess?
no, it's just whatever's convenient, and I don't like bill hourly. I don't turn on the meter for that kind of stuff. It's all kind of included, so I have flat monthly fees, and I feel like I give them value and access, and then they don't waste my time. things get done, and it works fine right now. I think as I grow, I'm gonna have to revisit that and see if it's still working. Yeah,
See if texting is still working.
yeah. If there were a lot more clients texting me,
Right.
maybe it could get a little overwhelming. Then I might have to figure out other ways to manage that.
Definitely. And that, people are growing their offices differently, right? Like I have a client that is okay with getting 25 clients this month, right?
Wow.
In the next month. And then I have other clients that are really just trying to land high profile, like people that are nearly famous, like once every 2 months. Like that's what they're really trying to do, right? So I guess before I get into that, I was going to ask you, what clients are you really focused on, right? Because me being a marketer, that's kind of, I'm not showing up like the other marketers, I guess, in the LinkedIn spam that everyone gets. Like, hey, I looked at your profile, right? Uh, I'm taking more of a sniper approach to bigger brands actually, and having my team get geared up to geared up to serve bigger brands as well. Um, Before I get into that, though, the text message thing definitely interests me because I believe that a lot of here's why it interested me, because you said you don't bill hourly, right?
Right. That's
So the text message product, that's not hourly. That's just a flat fee. So
yeah.
like, yeah. Would that be interesting, like, to implement for you? Do you see any challenges around that?
Um, I don't know if clients would really go for that or not.
Why
So,
not?
um, I mean, what's the additional benefit for them? Um, I guess.
I thought you just said it.
Uh, so you think I should just charge separately for that aspect then?
I think, well, I'm not going to tell you what you should do as a business owner, unless you were my client, right? And
Right.
like we had more details out, but I do think it will work. Like I think it will work. I'll put it this way. If you don't, if you don't do it, yeah, you could be losing your own money and your own time. Um, but I think it's a worthwhile benefit to a lot of clients. But if the thing is if the thing is to where you would rather text them than anything else, and it's actually an inconvenience for you not to text them, then you know I would include that in some type of onboarding package, and because that would make things more convenient for you, right? This is just like, I'm not advising you to do anything, right? You said, should I? You could actually, though, which is why the thing I hear a lot from my own clients, especially when I'm onboarding new clients, is I tell them something, right? I tell them a marketing idea, like just the text message one, right? Which that wasn't even me. I didn't we the He was doing that before. This office was doing that at 20,000 a month before we got them to $100,000 a month, right? And their prices and things like that were changing every day. But you said that you don't know if clients would go for it. And what I tell my clients with a lot of things, I hear that quite a lot. Like, I don't know if this would work, Juan. Like, I don't know if this would work. That's very common, and it's just sort of in it's in a realm of people's belief systems, right? And like one of my favorite lines to say back to that, when like me and my clients are really trying to grow their business, is they say that, like, I don't know if this would work, Juan. And I'm like, well, you don't know because you haven't tried, right? Or like even asking for a video testimonial or audio testimonial, like, I don't know if my clients would even give me a testimonial. Well, you don't know because you haven't tried. And let's say a firm had 15 clients and we all ask them for video, audio, or written. If they really can't get to that, maybe 8 clients will even respond and actually do it, and the rest won't even respond to that ask or email, let's say. So it really is from the marketing perspective, like it is a game of asking. And I hope the audience takes that and uses it, because that is what I go through with clients. They do ask a lot, that very thing. Like, I don't know if this would work, right? What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that
Yeah,
in general?
yeah, you do have to take risk. If you're going to go on your own, you got to take risks to try things out. I think, um, yeah, I agree with you there, and I guess I do need to change some of my mindset in that regard. I just try to think of putting them first, and when I'm small right now, I don't really have to have defined processes, but over time,
Definitely.
you got to have the processes, and you know, yeah, I never really thought about that, like asking. I guess I try to give more than ask, so I don't. I think more about what I'm giving them. I figured like the rest of the stuff
Right.
will take care of itself, but that's not necessarily like being intentional or strategic.
Right. And I guess I would say for me, for my first clients, I did actually not charge them to text me, right? Then the client JMAC, who really took advantage of this, like, and is texting me, right?
Edit it out here.
He actually he's literally texting me he's texting me my texting reviews for me. He's literally saying like, oh my God, like this is so awesome. Like, I'm glad you're responding like right now. Like, this is crazy. I'm driving, I'm talking to my phone, and like you're responding. Because it's literally text is actually the fastest way to reach me. You know, if you're going to text me, I can't make an excuse before I go to bed that I didn't see it. Right. So like he was now like is the only client that didn't pay for it, just because like I appreciated I'm going to use him basically as a review. So, and he's spending, back to making sure we provide clients value, he's actually spending a bunch of money with me in other places, right? So like I'm like, yeah, sure, like text me, and you know, I'll kind of use this as a review. But yeah, man, whatever. I would definitely agree with you, right? It's just not charging people that there's that too, right? It's just not charging people ridiculous prices when you actually do need to grow, when you actually do need to get your name out there and have a brand to build. So what do you think about that? What do you think about getting your name out there and building your brand? Because back to Xerocon, let's actually, man, we've been talking for a minute here. Time flies by, but let's talk about Xerocon and getting out there, right? That event was sort of eye opening to me. What do you, if you can, it's fine if you can't answer those in the same question. But first, I would like to get your opinion on how do you see the importance of getting your brand and your name out there?
Yeah, for me, the brand, obviously, like that's how you build long term. So like I just try to like build a brand around being honest and being direct and being efficient, being quick, accessible, easy to work with. Those are all the things I really want to be known for. And so doing things like I charge a fair fees. I don't charge low. I don't charge too high.
Yeah.
I think so. It works out. I feel like it works out for both, and they're getting great value. And then I do include a lot of things. I just include things whatever it comes up, and because that gives me, because I'm getting the experience of doing it and on my own, it's a little bit different than working in a firm, and
Mhm.
it's extraordinary. Like they're just in debt to me in a sense. Like I would like to think of it that way. I don't know if they think of it that way, but
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. And man, I'm so I'm so I'm fighting for you really CPAs to up their value, and for other businesses and business owners and just the rest of the business environment that isn't, talking to accountants all the time, for them to see the value in CPAs right now. But I'll literally, to other business owners, I'll sell this text message a CPA for you. Well, let's say someone asks you a question, right, over text. That's probably one of the fastest ways to reach you, right?
Yeah, email and text pretty much indifferent for me. Like I'm like as far as email goes, I'm like zero email. What they call that, like
Yeah,
inbox zero or something. Like I go through. I have no unread messages, and it just that's my personality. So
right. And I'll put it this way for other business owners, like, you know, if you were to ask a CPA a question, I mean, would you agree that with what you could tell them, even in one text message, could actually not only end up saving them money in the next year, but like just the knowledge that you have as an advisor. I kind of hate that word, honestly, but as an advisor that could actually make them money. Literally, what you said in a text message can make them money $100,000 like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, is that so crazy to say?
no, that's true. Oftentimes, and that's it's an awesome responsibility. What you can set them on the right course, and it's even like it was like Tony Robbins is like 2 millimeter, changing
Yeah,
trajectory a little bit, and like that. I think a lot of clients recognize that, like they do come to us and do serve the public good. And, it's an extraordinary value. Obviously, like there's different ways of delivering that value. It can be on the compliance side, or it can be on the advisory. And advisory is kind of like the buzzword right now. Like, yeah, I
I
joke
don't
it's
like
summer
it.
advisory. Like going back to Xerocon, I didn't attend that talk, but there's a lot of buzz with my friends about talking about advisory. What is advisory? How do you define that? Yeah,
hmm
everyone has different ideas for that.
yeah, I don't like that word, but but I do like the, another way to frame it, like a CPA as a business coach, right? Or in some cases, a CPA as a mentor. Like that's super interesting, and it's nearly the exact same thing. It's nearly the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But before we run out of time here, how was Xerocon? That's where we did meet there. How was Xerocon for you?
Xerocon was amazing. Anyone listening should attend when they get the opportunity, because it was a well-run event. Everything was fabulous. The food, the people, the talks, so much. Such a great experience there. Uh,
Had you been to any conferences previously?
Not really. I mean, that was kind of my first big conference. Traveling. I kind
Mhm.
of treated myself because I was able. I was
Nice.
like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I've been having the success, like getting going, and I'll have this. This will be an opportunity to really get out and travel and meet a lot of people and sort of up my game, and take away a lot of inspiration from it, and a lot of advice and knowledge. And
Right.
yeah, and I
Now,
feel like conferences are kind of like sometimes they're not. There's not a lot of long-term value necessarily. So we can do a lot of networking online nowadays. It's not like the old days anymore.
you can. Yeah.
There's a lot of glitz to it. You know, but I
Yeah.
just went. I didn't go in with like, oh, it's got to be like the greatest thing ever. But I knew it'd be a great trip, and I'd meet a lot of great people, and it was successful. And I would definitely do
That's
it
good to
again.
hear. That's good to hear. Yeah. I think, I didn't know what to, that was really my first conference outside of academia, like Beta Alpha Psi or something like that. And there were a lot of entrepreneurs there. And a couple of my clients, you know them, but because of the people that they talked to and met at that conference, like even crazier things happened. to them after the conference where they're just getting a flood of opportunities, right? So did you kind of experience the same thing? Like, okay, wow, it's interesting to connect with these entrepreneurs here where like there's usually online. Yeah. I don't think people realize that enough, but in person, it's back to like, okay, traditional business, like you're here, let's talk business. When it actually could have been done on LinkedIn, but yeah. Did you kind of find the same thing?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better in person. And you have like that, like verification. You know that's a real person. And that's what JMAC was saying. Like, yeah, you're actually
Verification.
to me, like, because you don't know, like people on the internet, fake.
Oh, you know what's crazy that Gary Vee talks about? And maybe some other people do too. I need to look more into it, but I I I 100% know that in the future you're going to be able to take my voice and, you know, make AI say all types of crazy things that I've never said before. What's even crazier is you're actually going to be able to get like a video of me like doing crazy things and saying
Yeah,
crazy things. Like that's just that's interesting. That's interesting.
I
We
heard
need
it. Yeah, yeah. Like the AI deep fakes. But I heard about this thing where you can make a client video. Say you're going to make a video for all your clients. You
Mhm.
record the video, and then it has like you put each. You can personalize each beginning. You know, have like the client's name. You saying their name without you actually having
Wow.
to record
That's interesting.
it.
I know I don't know if I would do that. I know there's a lot of marketers that do a lot of shady things and they act like it's normal. They're like, you know, and people look up to them and they're like, no, well, for like my first 3 years, I just, you know, I lied about this and, you know, da, 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 da. Like, whoa, man. Like, come on. Anyway, a lot of good talk here. While I want this to be a valuable resource to listeners, of course, I want to ask you about some of your biggest challenges in making it this far, you know, whether that's in business, life, and such.
Yeah, it's the biggest challenges, I guess, personally for me is just dealing with I don't know, self-doubt sometimes, and deal, you know, the highs and lows of things. And I've had a lot of
Right.
success right now, so I haven't really had those challenges much lately. But still, it's like the anxiety of like, yeah, you might lose that client or you got to fire that client. I've kind of had to deal with that and like really just put it into a box and say, you know what, it doesn't matter like what the outcome will be. I'll be fine either way with the outcome. So then just like you're free to take the risk. You're free to like just take
Mm-hmm.
that leap forward. But yeah, I would say,
Anxiety,
yeah,
man.
I think we're all dealing with that in society.
Constantly.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
putting it out there, say, identifying it, giving it a name has really helped me like overcome that and just learn to live with that. And you know, and another challenge, you know, it's like obviously getting clients, like that's it's not that easy. You know, if it were easy, everyone would be doing this. But
Mm.
being patient is everything. Unfortunately, you know, I have a friend. He started up like 2 years ago, and he just called me the other day and he said he's looking for a job now. He's just looking at
Mm.
shutting down, and you know, it's kind of sad to hear that.
Right.
Um, so it's not easy to really make a business support you, and yeah, build a brand, build a successful brand. So it takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, and you know, and yeah, and you have to deal with really
Definitely.
difficult situations.
Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know if you heard of like Elon Musk selling like surfboards and like flamethrowers and stuff, but actually, yeah, it's actually hard to build a business. Like, I'm not the best business builder right now, but the fact that I do know sales that should, in my mind, keep me in business because I had like 2 months in my first year where I was like, oh my God, like if I don't get more clients, I'm not gonna be able to pay the bills. Like, it's gonna look really bad. Like, I can't afford this, that. I would have gone to just selling stuff that's in my closet, right? Like, and then back to Gary Vee, flipping stuff on eBay. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm trying to communicate just to the accounting market that, well, if you can sell, things should be okay because you're actually, smart from the financial side, the defensive side of things, right? Whereas some like, e-commerce kid entrepreneur, they could be selling stuff all day online, but do something illegal or owe the IRS like this much in year 5. So that type of stuff is out there. And I just think the two together, like defense and offense in business, that's what I'm trying to get to myself. But
Yeah.
do you have any final thoughts that you'd like the audience to know?
Yeah, I'd like to echo your point, so on sales. Like I think building a brand long term is, like I suck at sales. I don't know anything about sales, but building a brand long term
Hmm.
is really, really like appreciate your customers. Like I'm amazed at how big brands, established brands, they don't appreciate their customers at all, and they just treat you so badly. And then it's like even though they dominate the market, and like in accounting, like there's so many CPA firms, there's so many people already doing this, so many bookkeeping firms, payroll, and yet it's like new firms emerge and grow into great brands because they appreciate their customer, they recognize what the pain points are, and they address it. Right now we're on Zoom right now. I mean, last I checked, like 10 years ago, there was Skype. Everyone was using Skype.
Yeah.
Zoom didn't even exist, but Zoom recognized the pain points and made a much better experience. And so they're dominating now. And like
That's
I just dealt
interesting.
with ADP, like what a pain. Like this morning, I had an issue with ADP. And so you see Gusto payroll coming up. So I
Hmm.
think as an accounting firm, I can do that on a much smaller scale where people, their pain points are waiting on their tax returns, waiting, paying too high fees for, low level kind of work. And, really just changing that, using technology for a much better experience and just appreciate the customer. And that brand will survive even in hard times. Yeah. So,
Right. I mean, I feel like you too, reaching out, like let's say, and making a relationship with JMAC and commenting on his stuff, like that's a brand too, right? Everyone thinks that you have to release a video every day, and like 99 comments a week could be just as good to increase sales and make a brand for yourself, right? You know, then you get to the video, that type of thing. So I'm definitely not. Uh, I'm not a, it might sound like I'm like, you need to do this, you need to do that, but it's really on who the individual is that's leading the business and their talents, right? Um, I wouldn't say that every accountant is going to do this, but accountants and CPAs that say they suck at sales, right? They can actually, just like anything else, they can get better by doing it a lot more, right? But I I guess me too. Cold calling at the beginning of my business, people might frown upon cold calling and say, "Well, who is gonna buy this?" Like from a call, right? But it happens. Like you know, I cold called JD Frost's office, right? Have so let me ask you that. Have you ever cold called any potential prospects before?
not really, never calling.
Yeah,
Just
man.
maybe emails and LinkedIn and very little success. I got
Yeah,
one meeting out of doing that.
back
Right.
to yeah, just the repetition. Like it would be, the numbers are pretty the same as far as closing, right? Even reaching out to 10 people, like you know that's like statistically, that's like maybe you're lucky if you're landing half a person.
Yeah.
Maybe you're lucky if you're having half a person, but great if you can do better than that. But I just wanted to say that just to give some value to the audience, and we went a little over time here, but do you have anything else that you want to mention or you'd like the audience to actually know about you?
I think we covered everything there. Yeah, just yeah. I guess one final point, like on sales, just I guess my approach is not so much like the cold calling, but just expanding my network, and just being like providing value to people and building. That's more long term approach. I guess that's what's worked for me. But you said everybody's different. Some people are great at sales. They have that hustle mentality. I need more to not procrastinate as much.
I think I procrastinate sometimes too, by the way. Uh, you know, it's all like mindset. Back to what you were saying. I'm comfortable with sales, but I'm not Grant Cardone over here. Like, you got to be honest with myself, right? Like, I was
Yeah.
still super nervous to call JD Frost, like, office, just cold call a pretty prestigious brand. Like, it's not like I'm like magic over here, right? I was actually pretty nervous, just to give anyone reassurance out there that's listening or that wants to like try cold calling. Like I said, the client that can actually onboard 25 clients and wants to a month, yeah, they're sending a lot of manual messages actually on LinkedIn, and that's not spamming because the messages are unique, right? I freaking hate the LinkedIn helper spam, like the way they do it.
Oh,
Anyway, any, anyway, yeah, that sounds like you sound like you are gonna build an awesome brand here in the space. I mean, there's so many firms that are asleep, I would say. So take advantage.
yeah.
All right. Well, where can the audience find you?
So I'm on all the like Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Just search my name, Matt Rubush. That many people have my name. So,
Got it.
and my website's mattrubush.com. That's my firm website. It is going to be overhauled. I'm working with a guy, so it's going to be overhauled. But it's a DIY project right now. And then millenniumpg.com is our Millennium Planning Group. That's the group that I'm working with, I'm collaborating with. We call it Collaboration Nation. So shout out to them.
I like that.
So that's basically it. Yeah.
I'll find all that and link that down below, actually. But thank you for coming on the podcast and dropping value, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. This has been great.
Thanks. And that is it.